Alright, this video of Manu Kone to Arsenal transfer interest is powered by Think Landscaping. They design, they plan, they transform your outdoor spaces. And indeed, that's what they obviously come up for. And they do a lot of work to obviously turn your compound, your garden into your dream look. Just try them out and give them business. You'll obviously get to know that the best in the world do come from landscaping when it comes to obviously beautifying your outdoor spaces. They do have irrigation systems. They'll obviously do maintenance and lots of activities that you can ever get from them. So this is what we call Think Landscaping in here for you. And that is what we are obviously opening up our video with. Call them with those numbers and you will thank me later in here onto what we call the Rokani Media Football. Now, big story. Arsenal looks like they're in for a midfielder known as Manu Kone. And we are talking Manu Kone, we are talking Desired Doue, and we are also talking Trippier. Guys, Trippier is really one of those that has gone ahead, obviously put out a very shocking statement in there for you in as far as this summer transfer window is really concerned, I tell you. So, where should we start from? Obviously, I would like to thank you for obviously continuing to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. But we are left with just 8 subscribers. Hear me out. We are left with 8 subscribers to hit or to clock 29,300. So I know by the end of this video, you guys would have already gone ahead, obviously turn that into what we call a must have in here onto our beautiful channel. And that is the Rokani Media Football 4. Now, yesterday, after getting a story in the night, and we came in through and obviously the live stream talking to you about what Arsenal was going in all for, and it was all about Christos Zolis. Now, we have another story, by the way. At first, I never went ahead to obviously give it a lot of attention to its details, but guess what? After Liquipi from France has gone ahead obviously hint on it, I was like, there is something that is right about this story, all accurate. And the first person to obviously coming through and obviously report this story was Corey Della Sera. You understand? And this comes in through from Italy. And remember, this boy plays for AS Roma. And we are told that Arsenal are interested in Manu Kone and has made initial contacts with the player's entourage, but has not yet submitted any offer to Roma. Corey Della Sera went ahead to obviously put out that. And I was like, is it real? Is it real? Sometimes you obviously need to obviously make some research and obviously have right information to obviously coming through and really discuss about a certain deal, like for Manu Kone, a player that many love, and he has been at AS Roma and running the show in the central axis of the pitch. So I was like, let me take my time and wait for another credible source to obviously come and verify this interest in there for you. And today, I've gone ahead to obviously get in this, and it has gone ahead to come in through from Liquipi, and this is a French outlet. If you know Manu Kone, he's a French international. He's at the World Cup with a team known as France, and that means Liquipi reporting for France. Obviously, if they come in at this juncture and tell you that Arsenal are interested, don't look anywhere. Just get to know that they've gone ahead to give you news from the right source altogether. And obviously the source came in through and said, Arsenal are considering a move for AS Roma midfielder Manu Kone. Roma could be forced to sanction player sales in order to comply with the UEFA financial regulations, with a fee around 40 million euros reportedly enough to secure the French international's departure. Inter Milan are also credited with an interest in the 25-year-old midfielder. Now, Manu Kone. Roma is having financial constraints. That's why the player is being linked to them. Is being linked out of the AS Roma side. I want to let you know that Arsenal might obviously go and do the unexpected in this summer transfer window. We've all known that in the midfield, Arsenal has been looking out for a player known as Sandro Tonali, and he has been the priority for the club of Arsenal. And maybe after doing the assessment of the season, Arsenal have gone ahead to change the narrative, and they're like, why should we spend £100 million on Sandro Tonali? Yet, we do have a midfielder who has the pace, he has the skill set, he can block, and he is really a tenacious one in that midfield. You know, he can drive that ball because he's a multi-dimensional player. He can play as a CDM, he can play as a box-to-box midfielder, he can play as a number 10, and he is really one of those players that if you look at him play, he reminds you of a Paul Bile Pogba, if you really know what the game of football is. His driving force going forward is really very impressive, and Arsenal are looking out maybe for a player who can obviously come in through and act as an understudy for Declan Rice. And I think he is really one of the perfect players that can obviously be gotten. You understand? Now, the going in for Arsenal for Christos in the Belgian League, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes that they are going in for those players that they believe are really for the right price. And they might be like, instead of spending £100 million, that is 120 million euros on Sandro Tonali, right? We can spend 40, right, on Manu Kone, right? Those are 40 million euros, and spend 40 million euros on Christos, that is it, and we'll be having a balance of another 40. And for that 40, we can look out for another player, meaning that in the Sandro Tonali 120 million euro price tag that Newcastle have gone ahead to put on him, they can get in 3 players of pure quality that can obviously act as squad players. You understand? Because Arsenal still has a very good starting 11. That is it. They really have a very good starting 11. And they might be looking at the progress that Lewis Kelly has gone ahead to make. And they're like, there is no reason as to why you obviously go ahead and obviously spend that huge onto this player like Sandro Tonali. And they're like, we do have many midfielders. Lewis Kelly will be considered as a midfielder at the club of Arsenal, who has obviously gone ahead to prove himself into that position. And you can play him in either positions. You can play him as a 6 or a box-to-box midfielder. And they're like, why should we obviously go ahead and bring in Sandro Tonali? Because Sandro Tonali coming in through might obviously prevent, all shadow the growth of this player. Why don't we get in a Manu Kone and let Nogard go? And when you bring in Manu Kone, that means you're having Zubimendi, Declan Rice, Mikel Merino, Lewis Kelly, and Manu Kone. Those are 5 central midfielders that can take you throughout the season. And you'll be having all those midfielders, and they can come in through and obviously play as CDMs or number 8s in there for you. Manu Kone, for me, he is a very good player. Before he came to AS Roma, I think was playing for a French side. Was it Lille? Don't even remember. But he was playing for that French side and then crossed to... he was playing for Toulouse, 2019-2020. Then he was bought by Borussia Mönchengladbach in there for you. And then he went ahead, obviously coming through and play for AS Roma. He's just 25 years of age, meaning that he is at the peak of his career, playing at the World Cup. That shows you that he is a very fantastic player in there for you. So when you look at his price, 40-50 million euros, I think that is really good and will improve on the physicality. When you look at Arsenal and the players they're looking at, I think after the season, they went ahead of make a very big season review. And they're like, the next time we meet a team like PSG, the only way we can hurt them is having midfielders who can obviously carry the ball through the central axis. When you look at Christos, he can do that very well. Then, though for him, he thrives a lot when he's really doing it in the out areas of the pitch. You understand? Now, you can talk about another player called Manu Kone. Manu Kone is a player who can pass through the central axis of the midfield when he's obviously carrying that ball. He has the energy, he has the power. The same applies to Morgan Rogers. All those players that Arsenal looking at can single-handedly hurt you, meaning that they're like, we won't get in tiki-taka players, but we'll get in players who can single-handedly win you these kind of games. You understand? Now, why does Arsenal need Manu Kone? Because he's a modern kind of midfielder, and his elite dribbling and ball carrying techniques are really next to none. Possesses exceptional acceleration in tight spaces, that makes him press resistant, meaning that he frequently drives the ball forward to transition his team from defense to the attack. Now, if you remember, I think the only run that was made in the central axis of the midfield in the finals of the UEFA Champions League, it was that of Lewis Kelly. And they need more players who can obviously do that. Defensive tenacity, an aggressive natural ball winner with high dual success rate. He excels at tackling, tracking runners, and quickly recovering possession in mid of the park. So, if you add him and Declan Rice in that midfield when you're playing a big team, they'll obviously block everything that they're trying to create, or that the Arsenal's opponent is trying to create in the midfield. Composure and passing, extremely comfortable receiving the ball under pressure. He features a reliable short to mid-range passing game that keeps the team in control of the tempo. By the way, that short to mid-range, those small passes, and he's also good at really switching play. I've gone here to see him, and putting the ball on the blind side. Physicality and stamina. Combined strength and high stamina to maintain a high energy throughout the 90 minutes. Now, I tell you, Arsenal scouts are really doing the job. If they're bringing in this guy, and if at all they happen to sign him, imagine him and Declan Rice in the midfield. Imagine him and Declan Rice in the midfield. Arsenal will be in business, I tell you. Then tactical versatility, capable of fulfilling roles as a defensive midfielder, number 6, or as a box-to-box midfielder. That is a number 8. And that's why Arsenal need the player. 40 million euros to 50 million euros. What a bargain of a player that Arsenal will get into. Meaning that with the summer transfer window opening up on Monday, we will be having what we call elite and crystal clear information about who Arsenal is set to obviously bring in through to get the job done. And obviously, we'll be waiting to see how Arsenal will be reacting onto this, because that of Christos came in from nowhere. And here we have another big one coming in through from a side known as L'Equipe, credible source from a side known as France, and telling us about this possible transfer of Manu Kone to a club known as Arsenal. Now, let's go to Kylian Trippier. Kylian Trippier had gone ahead to obviously sign a deal or agree a deal with Wolves. He had a pre-contract in there for you, and he wanted to obviously go ahead and really play for them. But breaking story came in through yesterday. Kylian Trippier is considering cancelling his Wolves pre-contract after manager Rob Edwards was sacked. Trippier chose Wolves over other clubs due to Edwards. Deal set to begin 1st July when his Newcastle contract expires. Now, when you are being brought to a club by a certain person and he's sacked, you always ask yourself, what am I gonna do there? And that's what Kylian Trippier is obviously asking himself, because he knows to it that managers don't favorite certain players. They might get in a manager who is not obviously gonna be doing exactly what they had agreed on with the previous manager, and that makes his decision very bad as Kylian Trippier. So, as it stands right now, Kylian Trippier might be of a view to obviously cancel his pre-contract. And that pre-contract speaks volumes. That is it. It really speaks volumes. And the volumes are all over the place. The guy is doing what he has to do. And he has, for the very long period of time possible, gone ahead to really be at Newcastle. He was at Spurs, then Atletico Madrid, then at Newcastle. And at Newcastle, he has gone ahead to win them by the big trophy in there. That is the UEFA Europa League. And he did them great, and it felt like it's high time. I left this team because I'm the captain, I leave, and they get in another right back. The situation at Newcastle also is really not okay as far as the right back situation is, because this guy, known as Kylian Trippier, has gone ahead obviously put in a very huge fight, and if he leaves, that means they're left with Livramento, who is wanted by either Arsenal or Man City. So they might be in for a right back. So we wait and see where Kylian Trippier will be playing next. Will he obviously sign an extension at Newcastle? All else will be looking to play in another Premier League, because I think he still has the legs to play in the Premier League as a player. And we wait and see. But the reason for cancelling his contract is all about the guy who brought him in being sacked by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Lastly, let's go to the World Cup. France will be opening up against Senegal, and Desire Doue has reportedly struggled to impress Didier Deschamps during France's World Cup preparations, with Bradley Barcola now emerging as the frontrunner to start against Senegal. Barcola is increasingly expected to be handed the starting role for France's opening fixture. Now, I know the reason as to why this guy is edging Desire Doue. Desire Doue is a player who is not direct, and he does a lot on the ball. Barcola is a direct player. I think that's where everything unfolds for Desire Doue to be gotten to the bench. But I tell you, Desire Doue is a much more talented player than Barcola. That is it. And I know Deschamps knows it, but I think he doesn't want to give him a guarantee that he'll obviously get into his team. And with that front line, having Osman Dembele, you do have Barcola, who can play that side. There is Ryan Cherki. It obviously makes it hard for a player known as Desire Doue to obviously win hearts of many into that particular position. But I'll tell you that if I were me, I would obviously go in for Desire Doue. But this being a tournament of 8 games, and whoever plays those 8 games and gathers the most number of wins, obviously, he will obviously find himself in a position of really winning the World Cup. And this being Deschamps' last World Cup at France, he doesn't want to make any mistake. Maybe there is something that he has gone ahead to see during the training sessions that Barcola is doing better. And talking about Barcola, he knows to it that he wants to leave PSG. PSG have gone ahead to offer him a new contract, and he's like, I'm not obviously putting pen to paper because I've been turned into a bench player, and I would have gone ahead with miss out on the World Cup. So he's going to use this World Cup to put his goods out there for people to start thinking about him. We've seen Arsenal, we've seen Liverpool, and very many other teams thinking about signing Barcola to their particular clubs. And this is what we'll be waiting in here onto the Rokani Media Football. But for me, I would start Desire Doue ahead of Barcola. But Didier Deschamps, with his World Cup experience, he knows exactly what he's doing. The front three of France, he might now be Olise, Kylian Mbappe, and Barcola, with Osman Dembele being played as a number 10. Or if Ryan Cherki ticks all the boxes, he can play as a number 10, and then Osman Dembele being played as a left attacking midfielder for the side of France. So that makes it hard for Desire Doue to obviously be thought about into this World Cup in the starting 11 of France. So guys, Thank you very much for checking through. Rokani David is my name, and hope you guys are really having fun wherever you are. Continue to subscribe. Your thoughts on Manu, Kone to Arsenal transfer interest are welcome in the comment section below. And remember, we are powered by Think Landscaping, those who will obviously improve your outdoor spaces. They will design them, they will plan, and you will thank me later. Rokani David is my name. We sign out for now. See you later. Third video of the day coming in through. Big one of Brazil and Morocco coming in through late night. I'm out.